Hello, everybody. We are live. My name is Rikki Doolan, and I am British. So, welcome to everybody. It's another live stream. This is live stream number 4 since we've started streaming on the I Am British channels. So, just welcome to all of you, wherever you're going to be joining from. Just drop us a comment, say hello, and I am going to be joined by Based and Bougie very soon. She's a little bit late. She's very based and she's very bougie. So, but we can forgive her today because it's a birthday celebration. So she's running a little bit late, but when she gets in here, just say happy birthday. That would be nice. And we're going to be here, as usual, on these live streams, talking the latest current affairs, talking the latest politics based around, of course, the great and wonderful nation of Great Britain. Lots going on. Of course, there's lots going on. We are in a cultural fight for our country, for our identity. And that's been going on for over a decade now. But we are getting to a place that we've not seen in that whole 10-year period, which is a place of mass awakening, a place where the silent majority are rising up. And it's just a matter of time before we are able to take the governance of this country, democratically, of course, and we can have some common sense thinking people in that parliament and in these positions of power. Because for too long, we've had the globalist, liberal, leftist-minded people in the positions of power. Even when we had the Conservative Party, we never had conservatives. And now we've got Labour, and you know Labour. They're communists, they're socialists, they're far left, radical activists, a lot of them. And they're giving us nothing but problems, just like Joe Biden did in America for his period. We're getting the same thing with Labour. We knew it was going to happen as soon as they were voted in. But there was, I guess, if we're going to look at it as a positive, their terrible performance that they're doing right now, a disastrous performance anyway, is driving the Overton window and the public perception further towards the absolute desire and absolute need for change. And that's going to set us well in 4 years' time when we get to the general election. And of course, there's a lot of things happening on the right in politics. You've got the Reform Party, which I know some of you support. We talked about them in the last live stream. They've also got their own question marks. They did well. Taking the council has been a little bit quiet recently in terms of the positive changes. They've had the whole mess with Zia Youssef at the top, the Muslim former chairman, which looks a bit questionable. He's dropped down from chairman. Now he's running for MP. Was it really a clash that came directly after Sarah Potchin, the MP for Reform, said in the Prime Minister's questions that shouldn't we have a discussion about banning the burqa? And then the Muslim chairman resigns hours later, and then comes back and is now running for MP. Maybe it's all just a coincidence. I'll leave it to you. You can say in the comments what you think. We've also got UKIP, of course, led by Nick Tenconi. I was a part of UKIP myself. I was a spokesperson. I ran for local election in Lincolnshire recently with UKIP, and I've known Nick for quite a while through Turning Point UK, and I support Nick as an individual, and I wish him all the best with UKIP. Then, of course, you have Rupert Law, Ben Habib, and the question of, are they joining forces? Are they going to be one party? We saw some interviews with Ben Habib last week. He was quite visible, actually. He was on a number of interviews. I don't know if you guys saw it. He was on a number of interviews, and he was kind of hinting and leaning towards something happening with Rupert Law and something happening with Elon Musk. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but it was quite interesting. And I think a lot of people are waiting to see what that outcome is going to be. But a lot of movement anyway on the right side of politics. The conservative side, should we say, the common sense thinking side, the patriotic side. The side that believes that Britain is best sovereign and not part of a globalist cabal. The side that thinks Britain's borders should be secure. The side that thinks British people, British citizens should come first before anybody else in the world. The side that thinks we shouldn't be rushing off into global conflicts that have nothing to do with us. So at least that side is active in British politics right now, growing in strength, growing in influence. And by the time we get to the general election, I think it's absolutely certain that somebody on that side of politics, on leaning to the right, is going to end up taking government. I think it's an absolute given, because Labour, disaster, walking disaster. We knew it was going to be. And what's this thing about Labour? What's this thing that why do they sound like robots? Every single politician. I know that they've got voice coaches, because remember, Keir Starmer was getting a bit of hot soup for inviting his voice coach over during the lockdown. But I think they've all got the same voice coach because they sound like AI. They literally sound like AI. I was even wondering, has Elon Musk's Neuralink already developed so much that it's in Keir Starmer? Because it could be. Because he talks like AI is feeding him the words directly from the Neuralink. I don't know. I'm joking, of course, but anything's possible with these globalists, these people that want the open borders. Anything's possible because their rationale is not the same. All right, so we've got Vander Fawkes has joined. Says, don't believe in coincidence, Rikki. Reform is an absolute circus. You say that again. Coincidence is normally another word of putting something that is making sense. Another way to cover up something that's making sense. So yeah, I understand completely. Circus is a good way to put it. So it's important that we actually see, though, that there's a lot of movement on that side. Of course, America took back their country momentarily from the lunatics, from the did I say lunatics? I meant Democrats. Yeah, the Democrats. They took it back from the Democrats with Donald Trump, of course. We saw Holland take back their country momentarily again. Well, there's a bit of a trend here. Because Geert Wilders resigned as the prime minister because they could not get the border situation agreed. So same is happening in France, of course, with Marine Le Pen, where she's been arrested. She's being charged with all of these phony lawfare charges because she's this close to becoming the leader of that country. We saw it in the last election. Of course, there was a lot of talk about whether that election was legitimate and whether Macron really got that many votes, and a lot of talk of voter fraud. Whether it happened or not, I'll leave it for you to decide. But she's been this close to becoming the leader, and everybody expects her to become the leader in the next election. So now they're hitting her with all the lawfare, just like what they did with Trump in America. So you can see that the Western nations are fighting back, okay? This is a time and a moment when the Western nations are rising up. They're fighting back. There's a great awakening taking place across the West, and the Western people are rising up, uniting, and doing all they can to fight and take back their country. Based in Bougie is... All right, give us some stick for being late. Based in Bougie. I'm putting you straight in here.
I'm so sorry. I'm late.
I explained.
Please forgive me.
I've already explained
My
it's your
phone
birthday. So happy birthday to you.
One second. Let me just quickly turn. Am I already in?
Oh, you're in. You're liver than live.
Perfect. That's fine.
So yeah, welcome, Based and Bougie, and happy birthday. And thank you for coming on. Because is it not your birthday celebrations today?
Yes. Today actually is my birthday celebration. But before I begin, can you hear me clearly? Is this microphone picking me up?
Clear, loud and clear.
Perfect.
Sounding
Yes.
and looking sharp.
Thank you. It's all you. I was inspired by you.
So I was just kind of on a rant about how the people of the West are kind of rising up now, and there's a great awakening across the West, and the fight with, fighting back against the lunatics, the globalists, and if you look at all these countries where these fights are going on, I was just mentioning America, obviously with Trump, they tried to take him out. They tried to hit him with lawfare. You've got Holland with Geert Wilders, who was the prime minister, like right-wing prime minister, anti-Islam, and now he's just resigned as the prime minister because they couldn't get a border agreement. Then you've got Marine Le Pen in France, who is this close to being the leader of France, and then they're taking it out with lawfare. So you can see that the globalists accumulating to fight back this resistance and this kind of movement of the people. And in Britain, you can see all of the right-wing parties, Reform, if you call them right-wing, UKIP. Then you've got, of course, Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib, whatever these guys are doing, all kind of getting ready for the next election. So that I was just kind of going on a bit of a rant with that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think I always say that the left has gone so far left that now the right has become the center.
Wow.
That's exactly what's happening. So the left have just gone so mad, whether it's the transgenderism, whether it's immigration, whether it's BLM and this whole racism and calling every person, every name under the sun, Islamophobia, racist. People are just realizing that this has gone too far. A perfect example of this will even be Tommy Robinson. I remember when I first started to support Tommy Robinson last
Yeah.
year, people were looking at me like I was some kind of black sheep, like, what on earth are you doing? But it wasn't until he got arrested for releasing a documentary, that's when people was like,
Uh-oh. We lost Based.
sorry.
You back? Yeah, you're back. Continue, because that was interesting.
Yeah, so that's when people are realizing, wait, this has gone way, way, way too far. So I think the establishment tends to underestimate the public's ability to think for themselves and understand when something is going too far. And I feel like the propaganda is just not working anymore. Just a quick one: is my screen frozen?
No, right now you are great. It just went off for a sec, just blinked off.
Okay, sorry about that. Let me
All
just
good.
quickly fix.
So very, very important. What Based and Bougie was just saying, and this is the truth, that they went so far left. It's like they fell off the far left cliff, and now it's fell into the abyss of lunacy and stupidity. And most people can see it, but I do feel sorry for the sheep. I mean the people that are still kind of buying the propaganda like medium fries. I mean, I don't even understand how you can still be believing what these far left people are saying.
Yeah, I think those people, they're just under what's the word, oh my gosh,
Oh, Base, you're on.
hypnosis. How do you say it?
Base, you're on a you're lagging now. So basically, the audio's
I'm
coming after. Do you want to jump? I'll
I'm
tell you
lagging
what.
now.
Jump out. I'll put you out, and then come back in. So while we're getting Based back in, a couple of technical problems, we'll continue with that conversation. But it is crazy to think that people are still believing the propaganda that the far left and the globalists are putting out. I don't know. I really hope Based can get back in. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Perfect. Do you want to continue with your flow?
Yeah, so basically what I was saying is I feel like people like that, they're just under a spell, basically. They're just too far gone when it comes to trusting the media, trusting the establishment, that they can't even rely on their own selves and they can't even rely on their own simple understanding and wisdom. Going back to the Tommy Robinson case, you can sit here all day and call him racist, Islamophobic, and all of
Yeah.
these things. But if you haven't heard him say a racist thing, and if he actually hasn't committed a crime, then what you're saying is technically a void. And like I said, the left has gone so far left that the right has now come the center. I think people are starting to look at these people who are under a spell and saying, wait, what is wrong with you? So when you see, for example, the Muslim community consistently bashing Tommy Robinson and calling him a racist, you have other people who are waking up and being like, wait, I actually haven't heard a racist thing. So now I am going to support this guy because you guys are taking it too far. So I think a lot of people are just under a spell. But at the same time, this is also helping people to wake up and realize that, it's just going a bit too far.
Absolutely. And just like you said, with all of them other kind of far left things like the transgenderism, they just took it too far. They started chopping off children's private parts and giving people puberty blockers, kids, like small kids. So they take it to the far extreme until it just it goes too far. Just like letting these transgender men into women's bathrooms and women's sports, and they're beating all the world records in the sports, and you're just thinking this is absolute lunacy. And I do believe that where the Overton window is shifting in that direction, and many of these kind of far left things that are happening. But anyway, we've got lots to get into today. So for those that are joining the first time, and Vanda's commented, said, "Happy birthday, beautiful lady. Hope you have a great day." So that one's for you, Based and Bougie.
Thank you.
So this is I Am British, of course, the platform for common sense thinking, standing for British values, traditions, democracy, and definitely freedom of speech. So my name's Rikki Doolan and I am British.
My name is Based in Bougie and I am British.
And today we are going to be talking about one of our favourite topics, and one of our favourite people to talk about, of course, the leader of the British cultural awakening, Tommy Robinson. So we're going to start with him. We're also going to be talking about the Western riots. I mean, this is crazy, right?
It's absolutely insane, but we're going to get into it today.
Things are burning right now. So then we're going to also talk about Sadiq Khan and his knighthood and the honouring system and what's going on with all of that. But let's start with our brother, the leader of the British cultural movement, the most wrongly persecuted man in maybe not just Britain, but the whole world. If you can find another one, maybe Donald Trump. Maybe him and Donald Trump are competing for the most persecuted man, wrongly persecuted, may I say. Tommy Robinson. A lot going on with Tommy Based. He's been out of prison for 2 weeks, and he's not stopped.
And that's what's shocking to me. You know, most people, when they come out of a situation as traumatic as solitary confinement, their first thing is to either rest or just shut up so they can never go back in there again. But this is why Robinson is so loved, and people almost see him as like a hero for this country because his resilience and his discipline to keep going even when he's in the worst of the worst conditions. I think he deserves all the praise that he gets from people. Like, we don't care about the David Beckhams, we don't care about all these, you know, people who literally do nothing for this country. I remember when we was in jail, Tommy Robinson said he's the sacrificial lamb, and he's actually okay with that. So yeah, to see him just continuing to just keep going, keep poking the bear, keep, you know, antagonizing the media by not shutting up. Sometimes it's a bit scary because I feel like, Tommy Robinson, please be careful. But at the same time, I think he knows this is necessary. Like, he always says that this fight is bigger than him. And now imagine if every single person in the UK had that mindset. The Islamification, the transification, the lesbiancation, everything we're seeing, all the chaos that we're seeing now, it would go if we all had that mindset of putting this country and British values, which coincide with Christian values, ourselves. But people are not ready for that yet, because, you know, you can only reach that stage in your life of complete selflessness when you come to terms with Jesus Christ and his word. But yeah,
be careful, watch out for that lesbian occasion, okay? That's very dangerous stuff. But yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think the fact that Tommy Robinson has accepted that he's a sacrificial lamb for the nation is quite a big deal, and it shows a lot of his mindset that enables him to kind of put himself in the face of danger. But I love what you said there, Based in Bougie, which was, if we all thought like that, and if we all acted like that, we can take back our country. Because united together with that type of mindset, that we don't care if we get cancelled, we don't care what they say about us, we don't care what names they throw at us, we don't care if they try and get us on lawfare. If we all have that type of mindset, we can do something. So I think he's very inspiring in that manner, and he's leading by example. And of course, right now is a moment when the nation is waking up and the people are waking up. And we have the Unite the Kingdom movement that's taking place, of course, and the next rally's on September the 13th. But we have this kind of situation where the silent majority have woken up, and the silent majority are really saying enough is enough. And, you know, we're going to talk about the riots in a bit, but that's really an example of people having enough. So Tommy hasn't stopped. If we lay down, I'm going to open up his X account in a minute because something's just happened today that I want to get into. The lawfare has continued today. It's just happened about an hour ago. But if we go back through his timeline, then basically he came out of prison. Outside of the prison, he did his first on-screen appearance, like still with the Robinson Crusoe beard and everything, and which showed his intent that he's not stopping. He then created a documentary about how the Daily Mail set up his, you know, exposed his children and put them at risk. So he filmed a whole documentary that was put out. He did an interview with Rebel News. He did an interview with Don Keefe over in Barbados. He traveled over to Barbados because, of course, America's still not letting Tommy in. But listen, if anyone out there can get this to Donald Trump, let our brother Tommy Robinson into the country, man. Do something. Do some special pardon or something like that, because he needs to be in there talking. And the whole reason he can't get into America is because they tried to stop him from talking way back. But anyway, so he went to Barbados. He met with Don Keefe, did an interview. He met with Patrick Bet-David, did that huge podcast that is it's already got millions of views in 2 days. Straight off the back of that, he came back to the UK. He did a podcast with Liam Tufts, and now he's saying he's going to rest with his family for 3 weeks, and that's what we want, based, isn't it?
Yes, no, absolutely. And again, this is what I mean when I say putting the country and putting truth above yourself, because he could have taken those 3 weeks off with his family first
Yeah,
for
true.
his own personal peace and his own personal joy. But he said, let me get to work first, let me sort everything out, and then focus on my family. And honestly, it's astonishing because even you can even admit this, or I can admit this, you would die for your family. You would do anything to protect your
Yes.
family. Sometimes I feel like Tommy Robinson, he has a little bit of insanity in him to the point where his love for his country and his tribalism for his country, if we all had that mindset, God, so many things would change in this country.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, he did 7 months in solitary confinement. 7 months. I tweeted about this the other day, and I said, give the man his flowers, right? Whether you like him, you don't like him. He says that a lot of his friends call him Marmite. Like, you love him or you hate him. So whichever side you're on, the love or the hate side, give the man his flowers. He did 7 months in solitary confinement. They tried to break him down mentally. That's the whole purpose of putting somebody in solitary for that long of a period of time. And remember, it was a civil case. He was never supposed to be in prison anyway, especially solitary. So they tried to crush him. He comes out of prison and he's straight on the grind. 2 weeks of working. And, he deserves that 3 weeks with his family, and you've got to give the man his respect for that. And the funny thing is, Bougie, is that the Americans, they respect Tommy way more than the British kind of politicians, commentators, etc. They see from afar, I think, a clearer picture of who Tommy is, what he stands for, and what he's all about.
Yeah, no, because America has a complete different culture to the UK. I feel like in America, they're very big on protecting and defending their rights. So when they look to the UK and they see someone's rights is being taken away from them, they feel that need to protect their rights, to protect their values, to protect to protect their law. Whereas here in the UK, we have a more of a conservative culture where it's like everyone just stay quiet, everyone mind your business. We just want to get to work in the morning and feed our families. And this is why you see in America, they've been able to change things in like 5, 10 years because they are
Yes.
loud. They are very, very loud. This is why I always say every time America sneezes, the whole world catches the flu. And I'm so happy that these Americans are starting to speak about what's going on with Tommy Robinson, because soon the whole world will catch this flu and wake up and realize, wait, someone has been in military confinement. because of a documentary. We are losing our Western values, the Western values that people like myself and my parents came here for. So yeah, it's a shame, and I think another reason why people in the UK support Tommy Robinson less is because of multiculturalism. You know,
Mm.
multicultural has almost divided us. You know, most people who have come into the UK, I mean, some cultures, they've come to the UK to create their own separate cultures,
Yeah.
if that makes. Whereas in the USA, you will have Jamaicans there, you will have Mexicans there, you have Dominicans there, but they're all American. They all speak American. They all act American. They all have that like American swag, if that makes sense. Whereas here in the UK, we all have our own separate communities. You have the
Mm.
Asians and they don't mix with anyone else. You have the Caribbeans, they don't mix with anyone else. So everyone's kind of separated. So we have this rule where it's like you can't mix with other communities. You can't defend other communities. But this is why lives, you know, where people like myself and you are actually sitting here conversing, sorry, and you know, fighting for one thing, which is British values and the British flag, is very, very important for people to see, so we can kind of break that division and that tribalism. So yeah.
Absolutely, and I think it's fortunate for us in a way at the minute that the Americans are so big on freedom of speech, because that's the issue that has caught all of their attention, and it happens to be Tommy Robinson that is at the pinnacle of that persecution of freedom of speech. So they've all caught fire, especially from this period in solitary confinement and being arrested for that movie and being put to solitary for that movie, for silenced. That's the thing that's caught everyone's imagination in America. And it's provoked Elon Musk to want to be involved in British politics. And that, if you look at this, and this is amazing, Based and Bougie, this was a revelation from during the week. We might play the video in a bit. It was basically Ben Habib on one of the news networks, and he gave us the revelation. It's what we were all thinking, but we didn't know for sure, that when the whole thing happened with Reform earlier this year, when Nigel Farage went over to America and he was part of one of them events with Donald Trump after Donald Trump had been elected. And then when he came back from America, Elon Musk went public on X and said, Nigel Farage is not the man to lead Reform and save Britain, or something like that. And after that, Elon Musk proclaimed that Rupert Lowe was the man. And all of that took place. And at that time, Elon Musk was pledging £100 million of donations to Reform. And that, of course, he stepped back from that. And then Rupert Lowe was fired from Reform, and all of that thing happened. But if you think about it, even for Elon Musk to want to put 100 million in, it was because of this freedom of speech issue. And one of the main reasons that Elon Musk would have known about it, and many of the Americans, was Tommy Robinson. So the revelation that came from Ben Habib was that Tommy Robinson was the factor in changing Elon Musk's mind in terms of Nigel Farage not acknowledging that Tommy Robinson was a political prisoner was the thing that turned Elon Musk off from Nigel Farage. Can you imagine? So Tommy Robinson was actually the piece that the straw that broke the camel's back between the relationship of Elon Musk and Nigel Farage.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And this is why in life you just have to remain consistent. This is why in life you have to chase truth. Always. And the thing is that people will look at Tommy Robinson's situation and think, what a shame. This guy has ruined his life. But now he has the backing of the most powerful man because he stayed consistent in his truth for
Wow.
20 years plus in his truth. So what we're seeing is kind of the hand of God in his life, you know, kind of positioning him. And if, like I said, I will keep repeating this. If only we all had the same mindset. If only we was all as loud as Tommy Robinson. Imagine how many Elon Musks would be out there trying to support each and every one of us. So yeah, Tommy Robinson's work is absolutely astonishing because he not only just stands for himself, he stands for all the issues that are going on here in the UK.
Absolutely. And I loved how you put it there, which is Tommy Robinson has stood on the truth. What he believes is the truth without any, the problem we have in British politics right now, and wherever you are watching from, just share this broadcast, share it on X. We're live on X, so if you're on X, just give it a retweet. If you're on YouTube, share the link with somebody. Let's get some more people in, and people engage with the conversation. It's important. So just share this live broadcast wherever you can. But what I was going to say is what's very interesting is that the truth, and Tommy's standing on the truth in the face of persecution, in the face of imprisonment, in the face of his life being destroyed. And remember, the state have took millions of pounds off him. They've given him full lawfare attack. But to be able to stand strong on the truth and have that integrity to say, I'm standing for my country, I'm standing for my children's future, no matter what they do to me, which is basically a Christian value and principle, because that is exactly what Christ did in the face of persecution, in the face of knowing that he was going to go to his death on the cross. He could have fled. He could have fled to Egypt. He could have fled anywhere around the world. And he decided to go back to Jerusalem to face the persecution for the greater good. So it's very much a Christian-centric type of attitude that Tommy Robinson's took, that I will take whatever they throw at me for the sake of my children, for the sake of my country, for the sake of the British people. And of course, we saw on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, Tommy Robinson coming out the closet, so to speak, about being a Christian, which was amazing, because this time and age, we need to get, and Tommy expressed this very perfectly on Patrick Bet-David. This time, whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not, whether you believe in the supernatural or you don't, what we can all unite on, and we must, to save our country, is the Christian heritage, value system, traditions and foundation of Britain. And Tommy Robinson went on that huge platform and said exactly that. And, you know, I must echo that, Based and Bougie. That's the most important thing right now.
Yeah, no, and this is why people adore Tommy Robinson, because he is like the epitome. He basically stands for British values, not only through his accent and his Burberry shirts, but just everything about him, his resilience and his ability to just say, nope, I'm going to put the country first before, you know, my own children, before my own family, before my own well-being. I'm pretty sure Tommy Robinson knows that this fight probably will be the end of him. I mean, we all wish that, you know, Tommy Robinson's end is peaceful. But maybe he even has those thoughts at night where it's like, okay, this could be the end of me, but he keeps going for it. And I think that's the epitome of Christian values, but at the same time, it's also the epitome of British values. When we think about all the men who fought World War One, World War Two, and even the previous before that, they had this very brave lion heart where it was just like, we are putting the generations before us. And Tommy Robinson embodies that a lot. But at the same time, you don't have British values until you have Christian values. Yes. And I feel like had Tommy Robinson not gone into that spiritual cave, you would say, with Christ, whilst he was in solitary confinement. I don't really call it solitary confinement. I call it a spiritual cave between him and Christ. He probably would have left there. Yeah. And said, you know, I'm not doing this. Enough is enough. I played the movie. I've done my job. I'm out. But he came out even more stronger. He even made a tweet saying something along the lines of, if you guys thought I was done, I have another documentary coming out. And imagine if we all had that mindset. Imagine the establishment wouldn't even stand a chance.
It's brilliant, and it's perfectly led there, almost as if it was planned, which it wasn't. So basically, the problem that Tommy's faced today, if I open up another X, is to do with that documentary that he made when he came out. I don't know if you've seen this yet, Based and Bougie, because I saw it whilst, like 2 minutes before we went live. So let me just open up his account and I'll put it on for everyone to see. And hello to those joining us in the chat. I saw Debbie's just joined in the chat, and a few of you have just joined on the chat. Right, here we go. Look at this. This is a email that looks like it's from Tommy's. It looks like Tommy's lawyer, his solicitor, and I'll read it. Dear Stephen, hope you're well. I've been contacted by the CPS, who have now located and clearly viewed the whole of...
the sound is breaking up a little bit, Rikki. On
the sound is breaking?
Yeah, just on your end.
Okay, is it still breaking now?
Now it sounds better.
All
Yeah.
right. So this is what it says. I hope you're well, Stephen. I've been contacted by the CPS, and Stephen, for anyone who doesn't know, is Tom Robbins' real name. I've been contacted by the CPS, who have now located and clearly viewed the whole of Hunted, How the Daily Mail Endangered My Children on your X account. So this is the documentary that me and Based were just talking about that Tommy made immediately after he came out of prison, which detailed how the Daily Mail reporters exposed his children's location while they were on holiday, and that is what they took Tommy to court to a week ago. They took him to court over this. They're charging him with a nonsensical charge of harassment with threat to violence, which was absolute joke because all he said was, I'm a journalist too, so let me come and film you and your family and let me interview you guys and put it all over the media because that's what you've just done to me. And so it's nonsense, right, Based?
This is exactly what I mean when I said the left have gone too far left, that the right has become the center.
Mm,
Because this is madness. I remember showing one of my Pakistani Muslim friends what has happened, and he said, "This is insane." He said, "This is too much." And he was actually considering himself now supporting Tommy Robinson, and he's now watching all his documentaries and things like that
wow.
because he's realizing this is mad. Okay. I even saw there's this social media page called the Shade Borough
Oh yeah,
on
yeah, I know it.
Instagram. It's predominantly like black culture page, and they basically posted months ago, when Tommy Robinson finally got into solitary confinement, that they basically uh, posted that he's in solitary confinement, and the comments were flooded by predominantly black people because this is like a black cultural page saying, "What? Imagine being arrested for not giving your phone. Imagine being arrested for, releasing a documentary." So I think, like I said, the establishment, they underestimate our intelligence and our ability
Mm,
to think for ourselves. I know that they know that there's some people they have managed to hypnotize, but there's other groups of people that are still using their thinking brain. And to see that, the Daily Mail basically stalked Tommy Robinson.
yeah.
They hunted down his whereabouts. They found pictures of his children. Tommy Robinson has never exposed pictures of his children. So who gave you the right to be the first person to do that?
Mm,
That is disrespectful. And when Tommy Robinson responded, they're saying that he's breaking his bail conditions. I think if the establishment are smart, they would leave Tommy Robinson alone. They would
yeah.
just leave him alone and allow Tommy Robinson to fight himself. That's how you make someone look crazy. Let them fight themselves. But they are fighting him over the stupidest things and not realizing that this is what's waking people up. This is what's
Yes.
getting people confused, and in turn is going to lead to Tommy Robinson's increase in support. The last rally that we had nearly 500,000. You think
Exactly.
after it's going to be less? No, this is going to be millions because people are trying to figure out whether you hate Tommy Robinson or not. Why was this guy in solitary confinement for a documentary?
Mm,
That event on the 13th is going to have millions. So if the establishment are smart, they would leave Tommy alone. They will allow him to fight by himself if they're that desperate to make him look crazy. But they're not. They keep nitpicking at these silly things, and people are seeing this. People are seeing that this is absolutely ridiculous, especially for Great Britain, a country that used to be, the epitome of freedom of speech. It's insane.
absolute. A lot of people say the founders of freedom of speech as we know it is Great Britain. So it's a far fall from that type of legacy. But speaking of legacy, exactly like you said, they the more they persecute Tommy Robinson, the more they build him to be a greater and larger hero. The more they build him to be a greater and larger figure and have a greater legacy. Just like you said, the United Kingdom rally in September, watch, is going to be bigger than all of the ones that have went before because Tommy Robinson never decreased while he was in solitary. He increased.
Hmm. And they're gonna have to find like a million handcuffs. They're literally gonna have to arrest every single if they want to try and stop that event because I don't think people understand from. And I remember last summer, that's when I truly started to publicly show my support for Tommy Robinson. I got a lot of hate. now it's now this summer, within a year, I have people now DMing me saying, "Do you know what? You was right." And that's under a year. Under a year, the tides has changed, and this is just in my DMs. So imagine in real life now, people are waking up, and the establishment is underestimating it. And like you said, the more they create him to be this beast, they don't realize the more attention they're giving to Tommy Robinson. They're giving Tommy Robinson way too much attention. This is
Yeah.
not how you play the long game.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing they did with Trump. They were giving
Yes.
him all of these like they just went crazy for no reason. That increased his support. The same thing they're doing with remember Russell Brand.
Yeah.
Russell Brand was like the sweetheart of the left. When he
Yeah.
started to ask questions about COVID, and they started to, try to publicly crucify him,
Mm-hmm.
or people started to support him. So the media, they're just not as smart as they think they are. They're really not.
They're really not. They're really not. And if we go back to the Christian kind of values, it was the same with Jesus Christ. Obviously, dying on the cross, rising again 3 days later, was the big moment that ensured that the legacy of Jesus Christ is still being talked about today, 2025 years later. So it's that kind of persecution that is building the legacy and the validity of what Tommy Robinson is doing. Can you imagine £100 million of investment was coming to a party, and all because of their opinion on Tommy Robinson? It was gone. So you can see the value on the work that Tommy's doing. It's worth 100 million investment being lost and going to somebody else. So it's very interesting that Rupert Law, Ben Habib were kicked out of Reform for basically supporting Tommy and being on the wrong side of that whole argument, according to Reform. And they are now going to potentially, if it is true that they're going to unite, they're going to catch that investment, which will make them the most wealthy political party in the UK, by the way.
And
Uh-huh.
Sophie, this is why it's so important to chase truth. Because if
Yes.
that party does actually, come into fruition, Reform are going to look like absolute clowns. Reform stand a chance, because Tommy Robinson and all the people who support him, whether it's the Mayha 2Cs, whether it's people like yourself who have big platforms, if you all stand behind this party, Reform is not going to stand a chance. So if Reform really wanted to stand a chance in the next election, what they should have done is just stand with truth. What they should have done is, you know what, I don't agree with Tommy Robinson being in solitary confinement. They shouldn't have played this long game of votes. Let's appease the Muslim community. Let's appease Yusuf. And now what has happened? They have now started an opposition group with Elon Musk. They've literally woken up a beast within Elon Musk. So this is why
Create an
it's so
enemy.
to always stand with truth. Yes, it will be hard. It may be lonely in the beginning, but towards the end, you will prevail. And that's what we're seeing right now.
That's what we'll see right now. And I know this is, I Am British as a political talk, but let me just confirm what you said there with a couple of Bible verses. Listen to this. Proverbs 23:23. Buy the truth, do not sell it. Also,
Amen.
Wisdom and instruction and understanding, meaning don't never compromise on the truth. Then Matthew 6:5 says, while those who seek to be seen by others in prayer and given receive their reward full on earth, those who do such acts in secret will be awarded by God. So if you stand on the truth, there's a reward for standing on the truth, for being genuine, for having integrity.
No, 100%. And I think what people tend to forget is that everything in this life is temporary. That job is temporary. Those subscribers is temporary. Your friendship, even your marriage is temporary. But what's eternal is the afterlife. Your relationship either with God or your relationship either with Satan. So choose wisely.
Right, we're going to church now. Let me open up this letter again. Right.
Let's bring the quiet.
Yeah, bring the quiet and we are off. Right. So basically what they're saying, if I just summarize it instead of reading it all, is basically they're saying that Tommy has to remove his new documentary from X. The fact it's sitting on X is that they're saying it's breaching his bail conditions, even though he made the film before the bail conditions were put in place, and they're saying either remove it or edit out basically half of it. Now, based on Bougie, this is the important thing about this. Is this not just another attempt at lawfare and another blatant attack by the British judiciary on freedom of speech?
It's absolutely ridiculous because Daily Mail, if you have nothing to hide, let Tommy Robinson play his documentary. Not only that, but if Tommy Robinson is such a racist, if he's such this neo-Nazi lunatic racist, let him play the documentary and expose himself for being the racist that he is. This is what I mean when I say the left, they are not as smart as they think they are. People are looking at this and thinking something here is suspicious. Why are they going through so much lengths and telling Tommy Robinson, you have to take this down or this will happen or this will happen? Something is being hidden. But I trust in Tommy Robinson, and just key word trust. The trust that the public has, grown with Tommy Robinson is very, very high. The fact that he was willing to put his life on the line in solitary confinement for the truth, we trust that he will do that again. He's not a Nigel Farage who will take down the documentary or we switch his words or backtrack. No, we trust that he will remain strong in this. So I just think the establishment, they are playing themselves. They don't understand that people are looking at this and thinking this is suspicious. Like I said, I have a Muslim Pakistani friend. He's on the opposite side of the spectrum of Tommy Robinson and the movement of the right. And he's now starting to binge watch all these documentaries and his mind is blown away because it doesn't make sense. So like I said, the left have just gone too far left into insanity. Now they're just being insane and almost obsessive of Tommy Robinson. They're obsessed.
It's true. And look, but I will say this, based on Bougie, as somebody who respects and honors Tommy Robinson and loves him, as I know you do, I would say in this situation, if that movie, which I know it has, his latest documentary, has spread around, it's on people's X accounts, it's everywhere. I would say we know they're playing lawfare. We know they're attacking freedom of speech. But for the sake of his liberty and freedom, which is needed right now, I would say remove the thing off Tommy's personal X. The film is already out, isn't it? Because they are looking to put him back inside. It's simple as that. They're looking to put him back inside. They're looking for any reason. Somebody's sat and their 24/7 job has been, right, how do we get Tommy back in jail? This is what they're doing. And they found this loophole and they're like, boom, we got him. So I think if we look at the pros and the cons, the results of keeping the film there and the results of not keeping it there, they far outweigh, in my opinion, they far outweigh. We need Tommy out. We need him free. We need him continuing what he's doing. And whilst that film has exposed the wickedness and corruptness of these so-called mainstream medias and the judiciary, I think it's more important that Tommy's free right now. We get to the United Kingdom in September. We do all these things that we need to do. It's a massive moment in the movement right now. And that would be my personal opinion. I don't know what you think.
I agree. The main question here is Tommy Robinson going to listen? I'm pretty sure he has hundreds of people in his ear saying, listen, you've just come out of jail. Do not do it. We want you home. But it's just a matter of, is Tommy Robinson going to listen? Because like we said in the beginning of this conversation, Tommy Robinson's love for this country outweighs everything else and is very, very clear. So, and even if he was to allow the documentary to play, it would still be able to allow Tommy Robinson to fulfill his mission, which is to expose the establishment for their corruption. But I do agree with you in the sense that, he's already been in solitary confinement. We don't want another reason for Tommy Robinson to be in jail, but it's just a matter of, is he going to listen? Because we know Tommy Robinson can be very stubborn when it comes to the truth. He will tell the truth by any means, and we love that about him.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes there has to be that fine line of, okay, let's play chess here. Okay.
It's a good way to put it. And I think that just the last words on Tommy for this one, because we want to get on to the Western riots that are going on right now. But we have to always remember and keep in perspective that what Elon Musk's father said that time, which is the truth, which if you kind of compare Tommy as a figure to Nelson Mandela in terms of their situations, not in terms of their politics, because there was a lot that was not good about Nelson Mandela, but that's another conversation. But if we compare their situation where sorry,
I want to have that conversation
yeah, we'll have it for sure. But
one day.
yeah, we'll have it, because if you look how celebrated he is by the establishment, that should say that there's a few question marks to be and questions to be asked. Why are the establishments celebrating this individual so much? And if you go into the politics of it, and I think Elon Musk's father also touched on it, that Nelson Mandela, I mean, I've not looked deeply into it. That's why I think if me and you have a deep dive into it, and then we kind of present it on one of the future live streams. But Elon Musk's father was basically saying that Nelson Mandela was responsible for like actual terrorist attacks, like women and children being blown up. And yeah, it's something I don't know too much about, but I reckon we can deep dive it one day. What do you think?
Well, please, let's do that. And of Martin Luther King as well. Apparently, Martin Luther King was a terrible, terrible man. It just goes to show that I think people no longer have a trust in the media no more. We literally
Mm-hmm.
don't trust it because things are slowly starting to uncover itself, and this is due to our phones, these gadgets. Now, people are able to set up podcasts and actually tell the truth about what they know. So no, we definitely need to do a deep dive on
Yeah.
these people.
And
And
MLK, sorry, MLK is another one the establishment cherish.
they cherish him, and that's another thing that I've come to a place in my life that if somebody is cherished by the establishment, I don't trust them. I don't trust
Question.
them. I feel like something suspicious is going on. But when the establishment is against someone or hates them, I know that this is someone that I can trust and I can follow. And I think a lot of people's minds are starting to change when it comes to that. They're starting to have that mindset of, okay, if the establishment is parading them around and forcing them down our throats as this good person, something is completely off.
Absolutely.
It's
And so,
backwards psychology they're doing on us.
sorry, say that again, Bougie.
It's backwards psychology they're doing on us.
Absolute. And what led us into that was the point I was making about Elon Musk's father saying that there are parallels with Tommy's situation and with Nelson Mandela's situation in terms of that Nelson Mandela was imprisoned as a terrorist, and then within a short space of time, he was now a hero and the leader of the country. And of course, Elon Musk was saying that Tommy Robinson potentially can go through the same transition. And if you look at how the Americans are supporting Tommy, and if you look how the Rupert Laws, the Ben Habibs are supporting Tommy, who have the potential to be future leaders in this country, then you can see how very quickly the whole narrative, the whole perspective on Tommy Robinson can shift. And all of a sudden, from being politically persecuted, he can be knighted. Or from being politically persecuted, as Elon Musk's father said, he can become the prime minister of the country, the leader of a party. It can happen.
I don't know about that one. I feel like the establishment is too far gone and is too evil unless we was to completely do a complete replacement of whoever's in charge. Has been going on for 20 years now, this persecution of Tommy Robinson. Unless we was to completely replace and deconstruct the establishment and replace people like yourself, into parliament, then that could happen. But I feel like socially, Tommy Robinson's support will grow. There's no denying that. We're seeing that as we speak. But politically, I'm still not sure about that. I feel like until we completely deconstruct the establishment and all these evil people who are in charge, I doubt we will ever see a day where he will get knighted. I doubt it. He's exposed way too much about these people. And the thing is with Tommy Robinson, the reason why he's such a threat is because he's exposed everything. He's thrown the whole establishment literally under the bus, and that's why they tried to silence him. So I doubt that will happen. The only way that will happen is if they completely deconstruct the establishment. But then again, what powerful person is just going to give away power that easily? There has to be a revolution. So yeah.
Sure. Well, we fight on, and if we could get a Rupert Law or somebody who, if there's anybody that doesn't support Tommy Robinson in terms of not as the person, but as his plight and his fight, I've also got a red flag there immediately. It's why I've got a problem with Nigel Farage, and Nigel Farage was somebody that I admired for a time, and along with Tommy was somebody that got me interested in politics. But his obsession with being against Tommy Robinson has got me absolutely disconnected, like completely. And
It's so
uh-huh.
it's so suspicious, and the reason why it's so suspicious is because Nigel Farage and Tommy Robinson, they share the same values. They agree on
On
the
paper,
same.
yeah.
On paper, they all share. So what it is that's pushing him to be against Tommy Robinson? And notice how Nigel has never really given a reason. He keeps saying things about, oh, his ex-wife, and oh, he's just all these things about his character, but in terms of the actual reasonings, there's nothing. So Nigel Farage, he's starting to sound like the Labour Party. He's starting to sound like the Islamists.
Mm.
He's starting to sound like the anti-racism rallies and all these people. He's starting to sound like them. And I'm just, this is why I don't see myself, voting for reform anytime soon. Sorry.
Exactly. All right, good. So let's move on then to the burning of the West. The West is burning at the minute, Bougie, and I think what's interesting to note, right? If I just read out the kind of the riots that have been happening, right? So we had Paris a couple of weeks ago, straight after the Champions League, which seemed non-political, but if you looked at the perpetrators, it looked like a lot potentially were a part of the kind of recent immigrants, maybe the illegal immigrants. I mean, there's no evidence for that, but just on visual, it was potential of that. Then you've got LA, which obviously started from the mass deportations beginning. Then you've got Ballymoor in Northern Ireland, which has started because immigrants, illegal immigrants, have raped 3 Northern Irish girls in the space of a week, and it just blew up. Then, of course, we've got the one we spoke about last week, which is Southport, which we all know why that happened, because of the evil Axel Ruda Cabana murdering innocent children. So different motivations, but still Western riots.
There's no denying that there's a plan to burn down the West to ashes. There's no denying that. Because I feel like a lot of these riots, I'm starting to sense that they are becoming orchestrated. I'm
Mm.
starting to sense that someone very powerful keeps antagonizing these events to happen and then causing these outbursts, and therefore making it seem like the West is not working, democracy is not working, capitalism is not working, freedom of speech is not working. So let's replace it with something else. Boom, we wake up in a Marxist, socialist, communist Great Britain, and
Mm.
no one's ready for that. But yeah, in terms of the West burning, what I truly don't understand is why would you illegally come into someone else's country, riot, and parade the flag of the country you're refusing to live in? Why are these
Mm.
people doing this? Go do these things in your own country. For example, I'm not sure if you've seen the riots in LA. You
Yeah,
have
let me
these
pull them up while you're talking.
yeah. You have these Mexicans just burning things, burning bikes, burning cars, and then waving the Mexican flag proudly, whilst all still refusing to go and live in Mexico. And what's so funny is that they would never do this in Mexico. They would
Right.
never do this in Mexico. So what has happened
One
to
is
the West?
hurt and no one
So
is injured.
we have become so weak that we keep allowing this to happen with zero to no consequences. It's absolutely insane. But I think overall, what the burning of the West, is symbolic of is the fact that mass migration is not working. It's
Mm.
not USA with Mexico. It's not working in Ireland with the Romanian migrants and foreigners who raped the young Irish girls. It's not working in the UK with Southport. It is not working. And I just don't understand when the world is going to wake up to understand that, we are allowing people who, technically hate the West.
Mm.
The fact that they go out of way to burn just their countries and their cities down there, that's why are we allowing them in?
They're even burning the American flag there. Look at that. Crazy. And I think the way you put it is very correct, which is, and people knew this was happening a long time ago, which is that people are being allowed to come into the Western nations that hate the way of life, that hate the culture, but not just come in dribs and drabs, but come in large amounts illegally. And it is that, of course, we all know that it is 100% the political swing topic of the last elections, and probably a big part of the next elections. What you have to look at, and this is what I actually went and filmed a podcast last week with Dodge Woodall, but at the end of the podcast the following day, they told me I was too controversial. They're not going to release the podcast. Me, how can I be too controversial? Me, I'm very non-controversial. So
that is insane. Yeah.
Sorry, what are you saying, Bougie?
And I said that's absolutely insane.
That's crazy, right? But why I mentioned that is because what I was talking about is basically what I'm about to describe now, which is the politicians that are allowing the mass migration. Then you can put it down a little bit to incompetence, right? But if you think rationally and you think with common sense, there is no way that it can't be stopped. It can be stopped. So that should lead us down the path to the conclusion that they don't want it to be stopped, right? And why would they not want the borders to be secure in America, in UK, in all of these European countries? Why would they want floods and floods of majority men coming from countries that are very kind of questionable countries in terms of their socio life, in terms of their cultures, in terms of to be letting anybody from a country that's a bit dangerous, that has completely a non-westernized way of life, and then allow them freely to enter our country without documents, without criminal histories, without background checks, and then take them and put them into communities next to our mothers, next to our sisters, next to our aunties, next to our children. And to do that consciously and still try and defend it as something stupid like human rights, it cannot be incompetence. It can't be. It must be purposeful.
It definitely is purposeful. You know, when you want to start something over, what do? You completely remove everything, okay? And you create like this even blank playing field. And that's what they're doing with this whole multiculturalism thing. They just want to completely remove Western culture and just
Yes.
create even blank playing field, just this blank white paper. That's what they're trying to do. So they're trying to remove Christianity, they're trying to remove democracy, they're trying to remove capitalism. They're basically trying to remove individual rights so they can create an even blank playing field. Now, what do you call that? Marxism. You
Yes.
call that
Let's go.
communism.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's what it
You
is.
call that socialism. And guess what else you can also call it? Satanism. The
Mm.
Bible is very clear on this. The Bible is very clear on the fact that the plan of the Antichrist, and I know people may be thinking I'm going too far with this, but I know where I'm going. But the plan of the Antichrist is to have a God that people will worship. No, the whole world will be worshipping just this one person, which is the Antichrist. Now, how do you do that? Get rid of everything, remove cultures, and just create this even blank playing field. So that's why I think, they'll continue to do it. And I think another reason why they're doing it is politically. If you can import people, give them benefits, of course they're going to continue to vote for you. We see that with the Democrats and we see that with the Labour Party. And the last thing as well is just a financial benefit. Okay, people would prefer to import someone from I don't know, Ethiopia, who's willing to work £5 an hour, than to pay someone like myself who, his minimum wage is like £20 an hour, £15 an hour. I'm not saying that's my minimum, guys, I'm just giving an example. But this is what I mean when I say that even when I see ethnic minorities like myself, going out there who are born and raised in Britain and defending migration, it's just like you are literally protesting for your own demise.
Mm.
You're protesting your own demise. The reason why they're allowing these people here is because they don't want to pay you £15 an hour. They're gonna pay someone else who's gonna do it for £5 an hour. And then you lose your job, and then you're gonna come back on the internet and say the UK is bad vibes, I can't find a job, I can't do this, whilst protesting on the streets for these people to come and completely turn your life around. I mean, the chances of my generation ever buying a home, ever having a mortgage is gone, Ricky. It's gone.
Absolutely.
There's no chance. So yeah, it's just those three things. First and foremost, they want to create an even blank playing field, which is Marxism, socialism. Second of all, it's just political gain, and third of all, it's just economic benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. And cultural Marxism, if you type that into Google right now, all of the page one's results are going to say a far right conspiracy theory, which is just absolutely amazing, because Marxism is a real thing. And if you go into cultural Marxism, it's basically the kind of the invading of another territory's culture through the divide and conquer method, where you are inserting things into the culture to put people into identity blocks, which is also known as identity politics, and you're dividing the people along them means, and slowly not only dividing the people, but bringing the people to a place of economic failure. Okay. And then what that enables now is that enables the state to step in as the hero, and the state start to take back power and start to take liberties away from people in order to give people comfort, kind of like a little bit like the benefit system, but on a larger scale. So you can't look after yourself, so let us look after you. Let the state look after you. We'll pay for things. We'll do things. We'll buy British Steel out. We'll buy all of these different industries out, and now we'll be in control of everything. And this is not just a far right conspiracy theory like Google is trying to tell us. No, this is literally the socialist communist system. This system has been played out in other nations. It's been played out in Russia. It's been played out in China. It's been played out in Venezuela. This is not something new, and millions of people have died because of this corrupt system. What happens is the people end up in starvation, in poverty. In some of the situations, dissidents were put in concentration camps. And this is all history. It's documented. It's there. And if you look, people are not even trying to hide it. You have communist groups marching in London. You have people right across the West that are supporting this type of regime. They want to remove things from capitalism and go into communism. But that is not the main thing. The main thing is the people that are financing and driving this ideology, and have been for the last 20, 30, 40 years, driving it into the education system, driving it into the fabric of British culture and Western culture. And it is, like you mentioned, the globalists. This is your this is these globalist bodies and globalist figures, your WEFs, your NATOs, your World Health Organizations, your EUs, your UNs. They are globalist bodies that have garnered so much power and influence that they're now able to control our laws. They're now able to control our borders. Are you saying? Do you
Yeah,
know
no,
uh-huh.
it starts like that. It starts with, first of all, let us be in control of the laws. You don't worry about anything. You don't need to read anything. You don't even need to understand these terms. You just let us take care of it. Then after that, they say, let's take care of the borders. We know who are we know who we are importing into these countries. We'll take care of it. Then it comes to economic control. Oh, you don't need to worry about working. We will send you £300 a month. Don't worry about anything. Then it comes to physical control. We saw this with COVID, forcing people to take COVID vaccines and telling people they're mad,
Yes.
they're absolutely crazy if they don't take it. And then what comes under what comes after physical control? Mental and spiritual control. Simple as that. It's going to happen very, very quickly, especially with this whole AI nonsense, and these plans that all of these, I don't know if his name is Bill Gates, I don't know his name, these plans to insert chips into people. It's just a complete control of the world. And I feel like people, especially Christians, Us Christians should be the main people on the front lines protesting and combating these things. This is our fight. God is really depending on us as the Christians to be the loudest people trying to stand up against these things. But yeah, you spoke about divide and conquer and how the establishment tries to create these events to divide people. Southport was the perfect example of this.
Mm-hmm.
3 young babies were stabbed. Okay, the first thing that they did, instead of trying to console the community, they put out headlines lying that mosques were being burnt down, lying that women were being thrown acid at. That didn't happen. There was no evidence of this. And what did we see? We saw absolute two riots between communities when the real fight should have been against the establishment, not
Yeah.
amongst each other. I even saw Muslim women coming out and saying how she a migrant who she was working with, I think she was like a social worker, I may be wrong, but someone just gave him a gun. A gun just landed in his doorstep, just like that. This is a young, fighting aged man migrant who's receiving money from the government, and he just received this gun out of nowhere. Who is doing this? So again, instead of us to be, they distract us by getting us to fight amongst each other,
Yes.
and we're completely distracted to what's actually happening, what they're doing to our food, what they're doing to our air, what they're doing, in terms of the law, what laws they're passing that we're not aware of. And this is Christians, this is actually our fight. This is where we need to wake up. It's not every day go to church and just sing kumbaya. Sometimes pay attention to what's going on in your country politically, because that is a bigger fight than just singing praise and worship in church. I'm not saying those things are wrong, but we are more than capable to discuss politics and defend, our country in a political way or an economical way. So yeah.
Absolutely. And isn't it funny that conspiracy theories are always attacked as conspiracy theories until they're proven true?
Exactly. And that's the thing. They never, ever, ever attack the facts. Notice they
Mm-hmm.
never facts. They just, call people slurs. They just call people hurty words. But the actual facts, they never challenge it. They never
Never.
come. They actually, Tommy Robinson in that documentary, he said this, that, and happened. But actually, I have proof that that didn't happen. They just say racist. And what's such a shame, what's actually true shame is that people don't have enough discernment and independent thinking to just do basic research for themselves. They just fall into the trap of falling into hurty words and headlines, which is ridiculous.
Absolutely. And then you've got people like George Soros, who's financed and looked to affect and infect the Western cultures through his Open Society organization. And he's even financed organizations and ideologies that have passed through the British police force, that have passed through the British education system, and that have put things in place to support these ideologies of like LGBTQ, hyperfeminism, critical race theory. They're all coming from financial backing from globalist individuals or globalist organizations. And this is the truth of what needs to be explored, because the old saying, you follow the money, you find the truth.
Exactly.
So it is exactly the same with the demise of the Western cultures. It's been purposeful, it's been financed, and these globalists, as you mentioned in what you said a little bit earlier on, the globalists are looking to take over the world, and they're looking to create a one world government that is led by one person, and they are going to somewhat achieve it. But we have to fight. We've got to resist. We are the resistance. And it's important that we do this because it's a propaganda war that's going on, not just a cultural war, but a propaganda war. Propaganda is everywhere. And they will continually look to defame the truth, the information that's true, and replace it with the propaganda information that's not true. That's why we see thousands of people flying Palestine flags and being anti-Semitic. Why? Because they've been caught up in the propaganda, in the lies.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like propaganda is the biggest way to brainwash people and to brainwash the public. And this is why Christ always calls us to follow him first and to follow the Spirit first. And that's when you will realize, that a lot of the things that have been sold to us has just been. And here's another thing that people don't understand is that everything that they're against, whether it's, this introduction of feminism, this introduction of mass migration, this introduction of transgenderism. Notice how it all goes against God. It all goes against God's design. It all
It's
goes against
anti-Christian.
anti-Christian. And the worst part about it is you see the actual Christians falling for this, which is tragic. But yeah.
It is sad. So we went down a big rabbit hole there, which is good. And that was all because of the riots. And that was kind of us exploring the reasons why these undocumented fighting age males are being allowed to decimate, to enter at free will all of our countries. And if you look, speaking of propaganda and lies and untrustworthy politics and politicians, did you see that Labour politician on the Question Time yesterday? If you didn't see him, let me pull him up.
No, please pull it up, please.
Oh, no, I got to pull it up. I got to pull it up because this was crazy. Where would it be? I think it was on my page. So basically, he's on Question Time, and they're talking about the immigration problem. Oh, right there. Perfect. All right, you can watch it for yourself, and then we'll just have to quickly talk about it. His name is what again? His name is... I don't know his name. Maybe it's going to come on the screen.
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies, and women.
Wait, Bass, did you hear it? He said the majority of the people on the boats are children, women, and babies.
Come on. Like,
brother.
Who is he trying to fool? We've seen the images and we don't see children and babies. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe it.
It's hilarious. He actually thinks that X doesn't exist.
Yeah, he thinks that intellect doesn't exist and the internet doesn't exist. And I don't know. Let me play that again. It's hard to believe.
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies, and women. And when you see...
children, babies, and women, like we don't see the photos and the videos of the thousands and tens of thousands of fighting age men. Like we don't see the migrant hotels full with fighting age men only, no women and children. If you look at Ballymore in Northern Ireland, where these riots are taking place right now, it's all men. It's men. What happened with... If you look at all of these hotels, they're overflowed with men. There's no women's section. There's no children's section in these hotels. You know why? It's not needed.
And the thing is that he said, if you see, I don't think he saw. And I think that's why he's wearing those big glasses, because clearly he could not see that it's literally men. All the images, you can search up on Google right now, migrants coming into the UK, it's all men. And that's another very suspicious thing, is that why are they only fighting age men, age 18 to 24, coming into this country? That is very, very, very suspicious.
Very suspicious. And it shows you exactly that there is some purpose behind this thing, because to allow it to happen means, and this is my theory, and this is my speculation, is that they are allowed in to decimate that Christian culture, to decimate that British culture. Remember, when it comes to Britain, Europe, and the West, we are very tribal culturally. So when I grew up, you'll be like, British. The enemies are the Germans. The enemies are the French. The enemies are the American. And it's even in the British banter. If an American is in your circle, you'll be bantering about America and bam, 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 because we're tribal. Somebody from Newcastle can completely go to war with somebody from Sunderland, which is the next city, and they've almost got similar accents, but they can go to war with each other over a 25-minute drive of a radius. So the tribalism and that kind of pride in the Western countries is very deep and it's very strong. So the only way to break it down would be to send in millions and millions of men, people from different cultures that are never going to get into that British tribalism type of thing, and break it down systematically, demoralize the nations, so that when they bring the globalization into position and say, right, We want to be ruled by one body. The resistance is going to be so futile that it will be very easy to implement. That's my speculation and my theory only.
I do. I 1,000% agree, and that's another thing is that I think the reason why they are not importing women at the scale that they're importing men is because women are easily impressionable. Like, let's be absolutely real with ourselves. Biologically, we're easily impressionable. Whereas men, on the other hand, they're very stubborn and they're very tribalistic. You can't tell a man to not be proud of his religion or his culture. And that's why they're importing these very young men. And what's so insane is that they keep importing these men from one countries that have cultures that are completely alien to us.
Mm-hmm.
Importing men from Venezuela or Brazil or even Nigeria. I don't remember the last time I saw a Nigerian immigrant coming into my workplace, but they're importing them from Afghanistan, Syria, Palestine, all these war-torn countries. These people that have a hatred for the West because they think the West is responsible for everything going on and not the actual terrorist groups. And they're importing them here. So these people are coming here with a vengeance. They're coming here with hatred. They're coming here to seek revenge over the atrocities that they've seen. And I don't think people understand the darkness that's about to come into the UK. I don't think people understand that we are approaching the dark ages of the UK. We are.
So, yeah, I think we can see the reasoning behind these riots that are taking place, and we have to stay strong. We've got to continue to stand for the truth, continue to stand for our national sovereignty, our national culture, our national heritage, which of course is the Christian heritage. And this is the only way that we are victorious. So as long as we continue to do that, it's going to be important, and we will make some ground up, because it's all about resistance right now. So I think just the final one before we close off for today is the honors with Sadiq Khan. So what was all that about? How has Sadiq Khan, as the London mayor, performed to such a level that he deserved a knighthood? What qualified Sadiq Khan to get a knighthood? What was it? Because I'm baffled.
This country is so far gone. Like, it's literally in hell. The fact that we have now someone who allegedly was a terrorist. There's images of him holding terrorist flags back during the 9/11 events.
Yeah, but
What has
Bougie, do you know what's not allegedly? That he was a defense lawyer for terrorist suspects from 9/11. That's not alleged. That's fact.
Yeah, this is the event that I'm talking about. And this is who we're knighting. We're not knighting Tommy Robinson, who has been protecting kids. We're not knighting Tommy Robinson, who has been, put his whole life on the line for the young English boy he was lied on by the media. But we're knighting a man who doesn't share the same religion as us, doesn't share the same values as us, has completely ruined this country. Like you said, this is being done purposeful now. This is being done purposeful.
I think if you look at Sadiq Khan's history as the London mayor, nothing has improved since he's been the mayor. Everything has declined. Knife crime has increased. Murder has increased. Standard of living has gone down. And the cultural identity of London has all but disappeared. It is really been a complete decline. Normally, when somebody is knighted, you're knighted for your body of work, your life's work of achievement. Yes, I think the only reason why they are thinking it's a valid knighthood is because he is a person of color. He is somebody from an ethnic minority, and he is being the London mayor for this period of time. And they think in their identity politics nonsense, in their critical race theory nonsense, in their DEI nonsense, that just because somebody with a different color skin has been in a position of power, it's worthy of a knighthood. That's the achievement. It has to be.
Have you ever noticed that most of the people that they keep putting in high political positions, they're all Asian Muslims? They keep talking about multiculturalism, this and multiculturalism that. I never see the Jamaicans who have been here the longest. I never see the Africans. I've never seen the Jewish. I always see the same people, which is Asian Muslim people. So
Arabs.
this doesn't seem like this doesn't seem like multiculturalism to me. This just seems like Islamification of the UK. And if people want that, then good for you. But let's look at every country that was, has been Islamified. Is that even a word? Islamified. How did that go?
Islamified. We'll take it. Islamified.
Islamified. Islamified.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were still delivering your point. But yeah, you're right. I mean, are they celebrating Kemi Badenoch?
They're not.
Exactly.
They're not
so
they're
I
not.
think it supports your point that it looks like they're more supporting Islam than anything else. And why might that be? And again, this is about following the money. And I keep saying this on the live streams that I'm praying for a citizen journalist to really investigate the financing of all these politicians, the financing of the Labour Party, the financing of Keir Starmer, all of these politicians. And I'm certain they're going to get to the bottom of it, and they're going to find that they're heavily financed by Muslims, Muslim organizations, Muslim nations. And that is going to explain the reason why they are so fast to pander to Islam. They're so fast to pander to anyone who follows the religion of peace. They're so fast to defend it. And it's not natural. It's not natural to defend the indefendable. It's not natural to call something a club when it's a spade. It's not natural. So I'm sure once a brilliant citizen journalist gets into that, we're going to find the truth about this.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that day, because even when I was watching Tommy Robertson's interview with Patrick David, is that his name, something like that?
Yes.
Yes, he was telling me a story about how he was telling Patrick a story how a man he groomed about a couple hundred girls. This is one man, he groomed a couple hundred girls, and he was an Asian Muslim. And what happened was another Asian Labour politician, he went into court and gave him a character reference.
Yeah.
The character reference. That's all it took, and the guy was freed.
Yeah. What about the Syrian refugee involved in the silenced case? 5 school kids went to the court to give character references that this guy was the bully and the aggressor, and the judge, the corrupt judge, dismissed all of their reports and basically said the 5 children were lying in court. 5 children, that you can make 5 children lie in court. So the corruption is deep. And of course, we all know that at the root of all evil, there's money. So 100% following the money will tell us a lot about why Islam is protected in this nation. And we've got to stop that. We've got to put a stop to it. I think you saw in America, Donald Trump's arresting congressmen for breaking the law. And I think that's brilliant. And another thing is these politicians need to start getting arrested for incited violence. The ones that are inciting the riots, arrest them for inciting violence. Just like you falsely arrested people for Southport.
And the ones that keep promoting war, they should also be in the front lines of war. You keep telling us we need to support Ukraine, we need to support this. You go in the front lines and you do it. Send your sons, in fact. I want your sons in the front line and you in the second row.
Especially the Palestine ones. Let's get them politicians, them MPs, who won their seat on the back of campaigning for Palestine. Let's get them on a plane to Palestine, and they can be the British ambassadors to Palestine, and they can stay there because it seems to be that's their interest. So anyway, all right, good. Thank you everybody for watching. I think we're going to sign out now. So we'll be back again every Friday. We're going to be live. Might be me and Based in Bougie. It might be other people. We've got a number of different characters around this wonderful nation of Britain that we're going to be bringing in and chopping and changing and getting the perspectives out there. That is the truth, that carries the freedom of speech tag, that stands for British values and culture, because I am British. And my name is Rikki Doolan. I am British. And
my name is Based in Bougie, and I am British.
So see you all. Make sure you subscribe, like, all of that stuff. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.